In this episode of the Truth Podcast, Vivek Ramaswamy engages in a thought-provoking conversation with billionaire entrepreneur Mark Cuban. The discussion traverses a wide array of topics, including the current state of the markets, Cuban's entrepreneurial journey, and the contentious issues surrounding environmental, social, and governance (ESG) criteria, diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives, and the political landscape, particularly focusing on Vice President Kamala Harris. The podcast begins with Ramaswamy seeking Cuban's insights on the current market conditions, which have been tumultuous in recent weeks. Cuban reflects on the cyclical nature of markets, noting that when things are going well, investors often become complacent, leading to increased risk-taking and debt accumulation. He draws parallels to the late 1990s tech bubble, suggesting that when multiple factors converge to create a problem, the resulting pullback can be severe. Cuban shares his own entrepreneurial history, recounting the sale of his first company, MicroSolutions, at the age of 29, and later the sale of Broadcast.com to Yahoo in 2000. He explains how he navigated the market during that time, including a notable hedge he placed that ultimately proved profitable despite the initial losses. This experience highlights Cuban's deep understanding of market dynamics and his ability to adapt to changing circumstances. As the conversation shifts to the topics of ESG and DEI, Ramaswamy expresses his concerns about the implications of these initiatives on meritocracy within businesses. He argues that setting demographic targets based on race or gender can undermine the principle of meritocracy, where individuals should be evaluated solely on their qualifications and abilities. Cuban counters this perspective by emphasizing the importance of diversity in fostering innovation and improving business outcomes. He argues that seeking diverse talent can lead to better decision-making and a more robust workforce. Cuban acknowledges that while there are challenges associated with implementing DEI initiatives, the goal is to create a more equitable environment where individuals from various backgrounds can thrive. He believes that businesses should actively seek out talent from underrepresented groups, not just to meet quotas, but to enhance their overall performance. Ramaswamy, however, remains skeptical, questioning the effectiveness of such initiatives and suggesting that they may inadvertently create division rather than unity. The discussion then delves into the role of government in shaping corporate behavior, particularly regarding DEI and ESG. Ramaswamy argues that government mandates can distort the market and lead to unintended consequences. He points to the influence of large asset managers like BlackRock and Vanguard, which often push companies to adopt ESG principles due to pressure from their clients, many of whom are government pension funds. Cuban acknowledges the complexities of this relationship, but maintains that businesses must adapt to the evolving expectations of their stakeholders. Ramaswamy raises concerns about the potential for government overreach in regulating corporate behavior, suggesting that a more market-driven approach would yield better results. He advocates for a system where companies are free to determine their own diversity and inclusion strategies without external mandates. Cuban, while agreeing that the market should play a significant role, emphasizes the need for businesses to be socially responsible and consider the broader impact of their actions. As the conversation shifts to politics, Ramaswamy and Cuban discuss the current political climate, particularly focusing on Vice President Kamala Harris. Ramaswamy expresses his belief that Harris, despite her current position, could potentially appeal to a broader audience if she were to adopt more pragmatic policies. He suggests that if she were to check off certain policy boxes, such as addressing inflation and border security, he might consider supporting her over Donald Trump. Cuban, however, remains critical of Trump, citing ethical concerns and the former president's behavior during his time in office. He argues that ethical leadership is crucial for the presidency and expresses skepticism about Trump's ability to govern effectively. Ramaswamy counters that Trump's policies, particularly regarding the economy and border security, were beneficial during his presidency, and he believes that Trump's approach to governance is more aligned with his own values. The podcast concludes with a reflection on the future of American politics and the need for open dialogue across ideological divides. Ramaswamy and Cuban both express a desire for more constructive conversations that transcend partisan lines. They emphasize the importance of understanding differing perspectives and finding common ground, even when disagreements arise.